is it that we love distractions? The reason is the pleasure-seeking nature of the mind. The work at hand may be high value, but if it is providing low stimulation, the mind seeks to shift focus to a work that is more stimulating, even though it is of low value. And that is the reason we are tempted to keep on scanning our social media for new messages and looking at our email browsers for anything new that may have arrived. However, if we wish to increase our effectivity at work by growing our focus, we must learn how to say no. There's a story about Swami Vivekananda. He was walking with a yogi, engaging in discussion on spiritual topics, when they both reached a stream. The yogi, by virtue of his sadhana, had acquired siddhis and started walking on the water. Having walked a few yards, he turned around and invited Swamiji to do the same. It is becoming increasingly difficult to remain focused in a distracted world. Our attention is being pulled in multiple directions at the same time. We are shifting our focus between emails, messages, phone calls, urgent requests, meetings, and so on. The consequence is that by the end of the day, we feel exhausted, scattered, and stressed. We wonder, was there a better way of doing things? Definitely, if we had learnt the art of focus. There was a Zen master who used to teach focus to his students through martial arts. He would make them shoot an arrow into a tree and then take aim at the back of the first arrow. One student was extremely skillful in splitting the first arrow with the second one, and that made him proud. The master decided to destroy his vanity. He took them all to a mountain top where between two cliffs a huge tree had fallen. He climbed onto the tree atop the ravine, and planting his feet firmly, he shot an arrow onto a tree nearby and then split it with the next arrow. He invited the vain student to come and join him and said, "Please shoot an arrow and split it." The student began trembling. The teacher then took him back and said, "You had the ability. Why did you become nervous?" "I don't know," said the student. The teacher explained his attention had been divided between shooting and the ravine below, and that divided focus had affected his emotional state. Mastery in focus means the ability to keep the beam of our attention on the object of our choice for extended periods of time. That mastery had been achieved by Arjuna in the ashram of Guru Dronacharya. Once Gurudev decided to take a test of his students, the 100 Kauravas and the 5 Pandavas. He lined them up and said to them, "There is a bird sitting on that tree top. Take aim." All the Kauravas and Pandavas, they lifted their bows, placed the arrows on it, and took aim. At that time, Dronacharya asked Bhimsen what he was seeing. I am seeing the tree, the bird and its eye, said Bhimsen. He then asked Yudhishthir what he was seeing. I am seeing the bird and its eye, said Yudhishthir. Duryodhan, what are you seeing? Duryodhan said, Gurudev, I am seeing the bird and from time to time I also see Bhimsen. Gurudev asked Arjun, what are you seeing? He said, Guruvar, I am seeing the eye and the eye alone. Arjun had his attention focused merely on the object of his choice. Let us see what the Golden Rules book has to say about focus. There is a saying, you cannot do big things if you are distracted by small things. Today, focus is called the currency of modern economy. Distractions are abundant, but people who are able to remain focused in a distracted world are the ones who make progress and build the careers they want. We do not realize, but when we shift our attention from task to task to task, it affects our cognitive awareness. Professor Sophie Leroy has coined the term attentional residue. She says, when you were doing task 1 and moved to task 2, a little bit of your attention unknowingly remained on task 1. And then when you moved to task 3, a little bit of attention remained on task 1 and task 2. And that affects your cognitive awareness on the work you are doing. Now, if the task was incomplete, the residual layer becomes thicker. And why is it that we love distractions? The reason is the pleasure-seeking nature of the mind. The work at hand may be high value, but if it is providing low stimulation, the mind seeks to shift focus to a work that is more stimulating, even though it is of low value. And added to this pleasure-seeking nature of the mind is the novelty bias. Every time we move our attention to something new, the brain gives us a dopamine kick, a little bit of enjoyment. And that is the reason we are tempted to keep on scanning our social media for new messages and looking at our email browsers for anything new that may have arrived. However, if we wish to increase our effectivity at work by growing our focus, we must learn how to say no. There's a story about Swami Vivekananda. He was walking with a yogi, engaging in discussion on spiritual topics, when they both reached a stream. The yogi, by virtue of his sadhana, had acquired siddhis and started walking on the water. Having walked a few yards, he turned around and invited Swamiji to do the same. Swami Vivekananda refused. He walked a little down the stream where there was a boatman. He offered 2 paise as fare, and the boatman took him across. On the other side of the river, they got together again and started walking. The yogi chided Swamiji, "What kind of sadhana have you done when you can't even walk on water?" Swamiji said to him, "How long did it take you to master this?" The yogi said, 15 years. Swamiji said, "What you did in 15 years?" I was able to get done merely by offering 2 paise to the boatman. Now remember, anytime we say yes to one activity, we are saying no to so many other things, because we have only 24 hours at our disposal. So it behooves us to be very selective in the choice of our activities. Swamiji said, rather than spending my time on wasteful siddhis, I engaged in the sadhana of spiritual purification. Like Swamiji, you too must decide that your time is valuable. And if anybody comes and demands it for gossip or other low-value activity, you must develop the ability to say no. Let us suppose that your monthly salary is 1 lakh rupees. Now, if you are working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, it means that every hour you are earning about 600 rupees or 10 rupees a minute. If you permit your friend to come and sit and gossip with you for 10 minutes, it means he has taken 100 rupees of your time. So be conservative on where you say yes for your time. Further, to develop peace, we must learn to be able to tolerate boredom. In this digital age, where low-value entertainment is just a click away, we have forgotten the state of boredom. When is the last time that you were bored? But the consequence of rushing for such stimulation is that it impacts the ability of our mind to stay focused on the high-value activity which is not stimulating enough. So enhance your ability to tolerate boredom and beware of the gaps. Now, when you go to the water cooler, the urge is to fill the gap by turning to your phone and again giving your mind stimulation. But remember, it impacts your mental health. Finally, you can do a little detox on a daily basis by turning your mobile into flight mode from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. In this way, prioritize the state of your mind and its ability to focus. Remember, the subject on which you choose to keep your attention and the quality of your focus will determine the quality of your life.